The celebration was where you went to be seen. And as Carenza stood among the glittering nobles and preening wolves desperate for the Alpha King's attention, unlike the others, she tried to disappear. She pressed herself against a marble pillar, shrinking into its shadow, praying no one would notice her. But her friends had other plans. "I dare you," Neve whispered, her eyes bright with mischief, "to blow a kiss at the Alpha King." It was meant to be a joke. A foolish, impossible dare that Carenza would never accept, because Alpha King Vasek of Valdros was not a man you toyed with. He was cold, untouchable. Rumor said he had never smiled, never laughed, never shown a flicker of warmth in all his 28 years. Women had thrown themselves at him. Princesses had begged for his attention. He had rejected them all without a single word. So when Carenza raised her fingers to her lips, her heart pounding with reckless defiance, she expected nothing. She blew the kiss into the crowded ballroom, a silly, meaningless gesture lost among hundreds of bodies. But Vasek's hand shot up. His fingers closed around empty air as if catching something solid. And when his pale silver eyes found hers across the hall, Carenza's blood turned to ice. He smiled. The Alpha King who never smiled actually smiled. "Come get it back," he said. In that moment, Carenza should have run, because beneath her carefully constructed mask lay a secret that could destroy her. And beneath his cold exterior lurked a curse that made love itself a death sentence. He would offer her protection, power, everything she never dared dream of, but only under one condition. He would never let himself feel anything for her. Neither of them understood how dangerous that promise would become. The great hall of Valdros Palace blazed with 10,000 candles. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings painted with scenes of ancient wolf hunts, their light fracturing into rainbows across marble floors. The winter solstice celebration drew wolves from every territory, nobles in silks and velvets, warriors in ceremonial leathers, merchants who had paid fortunes for invitations. All here for one reason: to be seen by the Alpha King. Carenza pressed deeper into the shadow of the marble pillar, wishing she could melt into it entirely. Her gown, a borrowed thing of midnight blue that her sister Lynette had insisted she wear, felt like armor she did not know how to wield. "Stop hiding." Neve appeared at her elbow, golden curls bouncing. "You look like you're planning an escape." "I am planning an escape," Carenza muttered. "Absolutely not." Brinley materialized on her other side, dark eyes sparkling. "We did not spend 3 hours making you presentable just so you could skulk in corners." Darcy joined them, completing the circle. 4 daughters of minor nobility from Ashmore, the poorest territory on the edges of Valdros. Carenza should have felt excited. Instead, she felt the familiar tightness in her chest, the warning pulse of something sleeping deep inside her. Something she had spent years learning to suppress. "Look at them," Neve whispered, nodding toward the dais, like moths to a flame. A crowd of women had gathered near the raised platform where the Alpha King sat on a throne carved from black obsidian. They fluttered and preened, each trying to catch his eye. None succeeding. Because Vasek looked at no one, the paintings had not prepared her for the reality. He was tall, impossibly tall, with shoulders broad enough to block out the light. His hair was the color of midnight, falling in waves past his jaw. And his face belonged on a statue, all sharp angles and merciless beauty. But it was his eyes that made her breath catch. Silver. Not gray, not pale blue, but actual silver, like molten metal poured into human form. They swept over the crowd with the same interest one might give to watching paint dry. "He looks bored," Darcy observed. "He always looks bored," Brinley replied. "Rumor says he has never smiled. Not once." "They say his heart is made of ice," Neve added. "Some curse from his bloodline." A chill ran down Carenza's spine. She knew about curses, knew about the weight of something dark living inside you. "How tragic," she murmured. and meant it. Neve's eyes suddenly lit with mischief. I have an idea. No, Carenza said immediately. I dare you to blow a kiss at the Alpha King. Brinley gasped. Darcy choked on her wine. Are you insane? Carenza hissed. He would have me executed. He would not even notice, but imagine the story. I am not doing it. Coward. The word stung more than it should have, because Carenza had spent her whole life being careful, being invisible, being the daughter who caused no trouble after the incident that had nearly destroyed her family. She was so tired of being afraid. The thing inside her stirred, that familiar darkness that lived in her bones. For just a moment, she wanted to be reckless. Before she could stop herself, Carenza stepped out from behind the pillar. The candlelight hit her fully, illuminating the midnight blue of her gown, the dark waves of her hair. She raised her fingers to her lips. Her friends went silent. The Alpha King was not looking at her. His silver eyes were fixed on some distant point, empty of interest. Carenza pressed her lips to her fingertips and blew. The kiss traveled across the crowded ballroom, invisible, meaningless, and Vasek's hand shot up. His fingers closed around empty air, catching something no one else could see. The movement was so fast, so precise, that several nobles stumbled backward in shock. Then his eyes found her. Silver met brown across 100 feet of crowded ballroom, and Carenza felt the impact like a physical blow. The corner of his mouth twitched. He smiled. The hall went utterly silent. She could hear her own heartbeat thundering, could feel every eye turning toward her. Vasek rose from his throne. The crowd parted before him like water before a blade. He was walking toward her. He stopped 3 feet away. Up close, he was even more devastating. The candlelight caught the sharp planes of his face, the cruel beauty of his mouth, and his scent. Carenza's wolf, that caged beast she kept buried so deep, stirred for the first time in years. He smelled like winter storms and pine forests and something darker beneath. You, he said. His voice was low, rough, like stones grinding together at the bottom of a frozen river. Carenza opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Vasek held up his closed fist. Slowly, he uncurled his fingers, revealing an empty palm. I believe this belongs to you, he said. Come get it back. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning she could not decipher. Whispers exploded through the crowd. Before Carenza could respond, a palace guard appeared at her elbow. Miss, he said quietly, the Alpha King requests your presence in his private study. Immediately. Carenza looked at Vasek, but he had already turned away, walking back toward the dais as if nothing had happened. Now, miss, the guard repeated, and Carenza realized she had no choice but to follow. The guard led her through corridors that seemed to stretch into infinity. They passed tapestries depicting ancient battles, suits of armor standing sentinel, windows overlooking a moonlit courtyard dusted with snow. They stopped before a door of dark wood carved with wolf motifs. The guard knocked twice, then pushed it open. The Alpha King will see you now, miss. Carenza stepped inside, and the door closed behind her with a sound like a tomb ceiling. The study was smaller than expected. A fire crackled in a stone hearth. Bookshelves lined every wall. A desk sat before the window, covered in documents, and standing by the fire, his back to her, was Vasek. He had removed his formal jacket, leaving him in just a white shirt, the sleeves rolled to his elbows. Even in casual clothing, he radiated power. You may approach, he said, without turning. Carenza's feet carried her forward. She stopped in the center of the room. Slowly, Vasek turned. In the firelight, his features were sharper, more dangerous. What is your name? Carenza, of Ashmore. Ashmore, the territory at the edge of nowhere. Something flickered in his expression. Are you always so bold, Carenza of Ashmore? No, it was a dare, a foolish one. I never thought you would catch it. Do you know why I caught it? No, Your Majesty. He moved toward her, each step deliberate. Carenza held her ground, though every instinct screamed at her to run. He stopped close enough that she could feel the cold radiating from him. Actual cold, as if winter lived beneath his skin. I caught it, he said, because I felt it. Carenza blinked. Felt it? Your kiss landed in my palm like a physical thing. Warm. Alive. He looked at his hand, then back at her. That has never happened before. She did not know what to say. What are you? Vasek asked softly. The question hit her like a blow, the question she had dreaded her entire life. I do not know what you mean, she whispered. Liar. The word was gentle, almost tender. Everyone has secrets. I am not asking you to reveal yours. I am merely acknowledging that you have them. He walked to his desk and picked up a document. I have a proposition. You will remain in this palace as my companion, my consort in all but name. I do not understand. You will live here, attend functions at my side, receive quarters, servants, an allowance befitting a woman of the court. Why? Something shifted in his expression, a shadow passing behind those pale metallic eyes. Because I require a companion who expects nothing from me. No love, no affection, no warmth. I will never claim you as mate. I will never mark you. I will never give you anything beyond material comfort and protection from whatever you are running from. How do you know I am running from something? Because everyone who blows kisses at kings is either running toward something or away from it. His mouth twitched. And you have fear written in every line of your body. Carenza thought of what waited for her in Ashmore, her father's hatred, the binding that kept her wolf suppressed, the whispers that followed her everywhere. Here was the most powerful man in 7 kingdoms offering her escape. Why me? She asked. You could have anyone. Vasek was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, softer. Because I have not felt anything in 28 years. And then you blew a kiss across a crowded ballroom, and for one moment, I was warm. The admission hung between them, raw and unexpected. I accept, she said. Vasek's expression did not change, but something in his scent shifted. Something like relief. You will sign the contract tomorrow. Tonight, a room will be prepared. She was halfway to the door when his voice stopped her. Carenza, whatever you are hiding, I will not ask, and I will not look. That is my promise. Something warm bloomed in her chest. Thank you, she whispered. She left wondering what she had just agreed to, wondering what secrets lurked behind his eyes like molten mercury. The chambers they gave her that same night were larger than her entire family home in Ashmore. Carenza had barely slept, her mind racing with everything that had happened. She stood in the center of the room, turning in slow circles, trying to make sense of the canopied bed draped in silver silk, the marble fireplace blazing with warmth. A team of servants had bathed her in rose-scented water, dressed her in a nightgown softer than anything she had ever worn. None of them had looked at her with disgust. They had simply served her as if she belonged here. She was standing by the window when the knock came. Enter, she said, expecting another servant. The door opened, and her sister Lynette stepped inside. Carenza's chest tightened. How did you get here? Lynette closed the door, her face pale with worry. I came with one of the noble carriages. When I heard what happened, I had to find you. She gripped Carenza's hands. Are you all right? He offered me a position, a companionship. Lynette's eyes widened. And you agreed? Yes. Father will be furious. The words sent ice through Carenza's veins. Father cannot touch me here. You do not know that. Lynette moved to stand beside her. He has already sent word. He plans to come tomorrow, to demand your return. The king has promised me protection. The king does not know what you are. Lynette's voice shook. If father tells him about the binding, about what happened when you were 13, he will not tell. You cannot be certain. No, she could not. Then I will tell the king first. What? Lynette grabbed her arm. If he knows, he will have you executed. The old laws still stand. Shadow wolves are killed at birth. Shadow wolves. The words made Carence's stomach turn. There is something else, Lynette said quietly. Something you should know. What? There are rumors about the king, about women who get close to him. Lynette's face had gone pale. 3 years ago, a woman named Seraphine caught his attention. She became his companion. Just like you. Lynette's voice dropped. She disappeared. One day she was here, the next she was gone. No one knows what happened. The fire crackled in the hearth. Snowflakes drifted past the window. Perhaps she simply left, Carence said. Perhaps. Or perhaps there is a reason he has never taken a mate. A reason he keeps everyone at distance. Carence thought of his words. I will never claim you as mate. I will never mark you. At the time, it had felt like freedom, but now she wondered if it was something else entirely. A warning. I cannot go back to Ashmore, Carence said finally. Whatever the risk here, it is better than what waits for me there. Lynette nodded slowly. Then be careful. Do not let him see what you are. She pulled Carence into a tight embrace. And do not fall in love with him. Carence almost laughed. Fall in love with the cold, emotionless Alpha King? I promise, she said. Lynette left shortly after. Carence stood alone in her chambers, surrounded by luxury she did not deserve, haunted by warnings she did not fully understand. Seraphine. The name lingered like a ghost. The shadows in the corners seemed to deepen. Her wolf stirred in its cage. Something was coming. She could feel it in her bones. She had escaped one cage only to walk willingly into another. And this one, she suspected, was far more dangerous. The contract signing took place in the throne room before the entire royal court. Carence had expected a private affair. Instead, nobles packed the vast chamber, their whispers echoing off gilded walls. What could he possibly see in her? Perhaps she bewitched him. Carence kept her chin raised, though her hands shook beneath her gown. The servants had dressed her in silver today, matching the king's eyes. The throne room doors opened and silence fell. Vasek entered. He wore black, his clothing formal, a crown of dark metal resting against his midnight hair. He looked every inch the predator. His eyes found hers immediately. Something flickered in their depths. Not warmth, exactly, but acknowledgement. Bring forth the contract, Vasek commanded. A royal advisor unrolled a scroll. The terms were read aloud. Carence would receive quarters, a personal guard, and an allowance. In exchange, she would attend the king at official functions and serve as his companion for no less than 1 year. No mention of love, no mention of mating. Does the lady accept these terms? I accept. Way, Carence said clearly. The throne room doors burst open, every head turned. Carence's blood went cold. Her father strode in like a storm given human form. Aldrich of Ashmore carried himself with the coiled menace of a viper. I demand the return of my daughter. The court erupted. Guards moved toward Aldrich but hesitated. Vasek did not move. On what grounds? She is unmarried. By law, she remains under my authority. You cannot keep her without my consent. The lady has given her own consent. She is of age. She is unfit. Aldrich's voice rose with fury. She is damaged goods. If you knew what she truly was, you would cast her out. The shadows in the corners pulsed. Carence felt her wolf straining against its cage. What she truly is, Vasek repeated slowly, is my concern, not yours. He rose from his throne. The movement made Aldrich step backward. You come into my hall and make demands of me. You insult a woman under my protection. He stopped directly in front of Aldrich, towering over him. I chose her. I do not explain my choices to men who believe they can command me. Aldrich's face went pale. You will leave this hall. Return to Ashmore. Never speak to or about my companion again. Is that understood? For a long moment, Aldrich did not move. His eyes found Carence's, hatred burning there, a promise of retribution. Then he bowed stiffly and retreated. The court remained silent as the doors closed behind him. Vasek passed Carence, his hand brushing hers. Cold. So cold it nearly burned. But beneath that cold she felt a tremor, a crack in his control. He had defended her. Publicly. Irrevocably. The contract was signed. The ceremony concluded. Later, in the empty throne room, a presence appeared at her side. He will not give up, she said quietly. No, Vasek agreed. He will not. You should not have defended me so publicly. Then let him be determined. I am more determined still. Carence turned to look at him. She noticed the slight pallor beneath his tan, the way his hands clenched. You are cold, she said. Your hand. You feel like winter. For the first time, Vasek looked unsettled. The mask slipped, revealing something raw. A family condition, he said. Nothing more. But the way he turned away told her it was far more than nothing. Your Majesty, she called as he walked toward the doors. He paused. Thank you for defending me. No one has ever done that before. Silence stretched. Then quietly, do not thank me yet. You do not know what you have walked into. He left her alone, surrounded by echoes and questions she did not know how to ask. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of settling into palace life, of avoiding curious stares, of barely seeing Vasek at all. He attended functions with her at his side, just as promised. State dinners, diplomatic meetings. She sat beside his throne like an ornament while he conducted the business of ruling. But beyond those public appearances, he kept his distance. Carence told herself it was what she wanted. She should be grateful for the safety. She was not grateful. She was restless. At night, she wandered the palace corridors, unable to sleep. The library at midnight, the empty ballroom at 3, the gardens just before dawn. It was on one of these wanderings that she found him. The door to the West Tower was supposed to be locked, but tonight it swung open at her touch. She climbed the spiraling stairs, drawn by something she could not name. Her wolf stirred, sensing something. At the top, she found a room she had never known existed. It was circular, with windows on every side. Moonlight poured through the glass, and standing in that silver light, shirtless, his back to her, was Vasek. Carence's breath caught. His body was a map of contradictions, muscle and strength, but also scars. They crisscrossed his back like a language of pain. And spreading across his chest was frost, actual frost, delicate patterns of ice crystals blooming across his skin like deadly flowers. He turned. Their eyes met. You should not be here, Vasek said quietly. The door was open. It should not have been. Carence stepped forward. What is happening to you? He did not answer. She stopped an arm's length away. The frost glittered in the moonlight, beautiful and terrible. Does it hurt? Always. The single word held more vulnerability than anything he had ever shown her. Carence reached out, her fingers brushed against the frost. Heat flared through her. Not from him, but from her own body. Her wolf surged against its cage. The shadows in the room trembled. Vasek gasped. You are warm, he breathed. How are you so warm? I do not know. Her hand pressed flat against his chest. But does this help? He closed his eyes. The frost beneath her palm began to melt. Yes, he said roughly. It helps. They stood like that for a long moment, her hand against his heart. Then his eyes opened, and something in them made her stomach flip. This is dangerous, he said. Why? Because I cannot afford to need you. His hand covered hers, pressing it harder against his chest. I cannot afford to need anyone. Then consider it part of our arrangement. You promised me protection. Perhaps I can offer something in return. You do not know what you are offering. Then tell me. Silence. Around them, the shadows danced. The cold is a curse, Vasek said finally, placed on my bloodline generations ago. We are born with winter inside us. Why? An ancestor wanted power without the weakness of emotion. A witch granted his wish. She froze his heart so he would never feel love, never feel compassion. Her pulse spiked, and the curse passed to his descendants. Every one of us, we are born cold, we live cold, we die cold. There is no cure. But you felt my kiss? At the celebration. Vasek's gaze burned into hers. That is why I caught it. That is why I brought you here. Because for one impossible moment, you made me feel something I have never felt. Warmth. Hope. He corrected softly. The word hung between them, fragile and dangerous. I should go, she whispered. Yes, you should. Neither of them moved. Slowly, Vasek lifted her hand from his chest. He brought it to his lips, pressing a kiss against her knuckles. His mouth was cold, but the gesture burned. Thank you, he murmured, for the warmth. Then he released her, and Kerensa fled down the tower stairs. She did not sleep that night. She lay staring at the canopy, pressing her hand against her chest as if she could still feel his heartbeat. He was cursed, dying slowly from a cold that had no cure. And she, with her shadow wolf and forbidden darkness, was the only thing that made him warm. This was dangerous, because Kerensa was beginning to feel something far worse than fear. She was beginning to feel hope too. After that night, everything changed. Vasek began visiting her chambers. At first it was brief, a knock after sunset, a few moments of conversation, his hand reaching for hers. Each touch sent warmth flooding through him, and Kerensa watched the frost retreat from his skin. She told herself it was medicinal, practical. But the visits grew longer. He began arriving before dinner, sharing meals with her instead of in the formal dining hall. He talked about his kingdom, his responsibilities, and Kerensa listened, offering opinions, challenging him when she disagreed, making him laugh. The first time he laughed, genuinely laughed, they both froze in shock. I did not know you could do that, Kerensa said. Neither did I, Vasek admitted. After that, she made it her mission to draw more laughter from him, and he was curious about her, not about her secrets. He wanted to know her favorite foods, her childhood memories, her abandoned dreams. He asked questions no one had ever thought to ask. One evening, a month into their arrangement, Kerensa found a gift on her bed. A cloak of midnight blue velvet lined with silver fur. A note in Vasek's handwriting. So you will be warm when wandering the gardens at night. I know you do not sleep. She wore it that very night. When she found him in the West Tower, his eyes traveled over her with something that looked almost like hunger. It suits you, he said roughly. It is beautiful. I wanted to. 3 words. Simple words. But the way he said them made her knees weak. The distance between them was shrinking. Every night he sat closer. Every conversation lasted longer. His hands found excuses to touch her. And every touch drove the cold further from his body. She began to notice changes. The servants whispered that the king seemed different, softer. He had smiled at a petitioner last week, and the woman had nearly fainted. You are changing him, Lynette said during a visit. The entire court is talking. I am simply keeping him warm. Lynette gave her a look. Is that what they are calling it? Kerensa threw a pillow at her sister's head. But alone at night, she could not deny the truth. Her feelings had grown beyond arrangement, beyond transaction. She was falling in love with him. And she suspected he was falling in love with her too. The night everything shattered began like any other. Vasek arrived at her chambers as the sun set, shrugging off his jacket. The frost on his chest had been worse lately, as if the curse sensed a threat. "I need you," he said simply. No greeting, no preamble, just those 3 words, stripped of everything but raw honesty. Carenza went to him. Her hands moved over his chest, his shoulders, and the scars on his back. The frost melted beneath her touch, and Vasek's breathing grew ragged. "Carenza," he whispered. She looked up. His eyes were silver fire. The mask was gone completely. "I need to tell you something. I am not supposed to feel this. The curse should make it impossible. Love, desire, need. These things should be frozen out of me. But I feel them. I feel everything when I am with you. It terrifies me." His forehead pressed against hers. "I need you to know what you have done to me." "What have I done?" "You have made me want to live. For the first time, I want to wake up tomorrow. I want to see your face. I want—" He trailed off. Carenza made the choice for him. She rose on her toes and pressed her lips to his. The kiss was like nothing she had ever experienced. Fire and ice colliding. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her closer, and she felt his heart hammering against her palms. Not cold. Not anymore. Warm. Alive. When they broke apart, both were trembling. "I love you," Carenza said. "I know I should not. I know this was supposed to be an arrangement. But I love you, Vasek. I love the way you laugh when you think no one is listening. I love that you defended me without hesitation. I love—" "Stop!" Vasek rasped. She froze. His face had gone pale. Paler than she had ever seen it. The frost that had retreated was creeping back, faster now, spreading across his chest like wildfire. "No," he whispered. "No. No, no. Vasek, what is happening?" He stumbled backward, clutching his heart. Ice crystals were forming on his skin, spreading up his neck, across his jaw. "The curse," he gasped. "It knows. It always knows." "Knows what?" "If a cursed king falls in love, the curse accelerates. The ice consumes him completely." Horror washed over her. "I thought I could control it." His voice was weakening. "I thought if I never said the words, never admitted it, the curse would not know. But you said it first. And I—" He fell to his knees. "I love you too," he finished in a broken whisper. "And now that love is going to kill me." Carenza dropped beside him, grabbing his face. The cold burned her palms. "There has to be a way to stop it. There is nothing. The witch who cast this curse made it unbreakable. Love is death for the kings of Valdros. No." Tears streamed down her face. "I will not accept that." Vasek's cold hand covered hers. "Then remember me. That is all I ask." His eyes rolled back. His body went rigid. He collapsed in her arms, frost spreading like a shroud. "Vasek!" Carenza screamed. The door burst open. Guards rushed in, followed by servants. Someone was pulling her away. Someone was shouting for healers. But Carenza could only stare at the man she loved, frozen and still, wondering if her love had just killed him. The healers came and went. They prodded, examined, and shook their heads. None could explain what was happening. None could stop it. Vasek lay in his chambers, surrounded by physicians. The frost had spread across his entire torso, creeping up his neck, threading through his hair. His breathing was shallow, his heartbeat slow. Carenza refused to leave his side. She sat beside his bed for 3 days, her hand wrapped around his frozen fingers, trying to push her warmth into him. But it was not enough. "You have to eat something." Lynette said gently. "I am not leaving him. This is not your fault." "I should have known." Carenza stared at his frozen features. "He warned me, and I made him need me anyway." The door opened. A royal advisor entered. "The council wishes to speak with you, my lady. Matters of succession. He will wake. Kerensa's voice was steel. Tell your council I will burn this palace to the ground before I let them give up on him. But threats would not save Vasek. She needed answers. She needed a witch. The woman arrived 3 days later. She was young, perhaps 30, with hair the color of autumn leaves and eyes that shifted between green and gold. She introduced herself as Morwen. Ice curses are rare, Morwen said, examining Vasek. This one is ancient. Can you break it? The curse is designed to be unbreakable. It feeds on love. The more he loves, the faster it kills him. There has to be something. Ice magic has a natural counter. Shadow magic. Darkness can swallow cold, consume it entirely. If a shadow wolf were to channel their power directly into the curse, Kerensa's heart stopped. But shadow wolves are extinct, Morwen continued, hunted to extinction centuries ago. What if one survived? Kerensa whispered. What if she was bound instead? Her wolf locked away so deeply that no one knew. Morwen's eyes sharpened. Show me your wrists. Kerensa pushed back her sleeves. The binding marks were there. Dark lines etched into her skin, pulsing with suppressed power. Morwen inhaled sharply. Gods above, your father bound a shadow wolf? When I was 13. If your binding were broken, you could save the king. Hope flared. Then break it. I cannot. The binding is keyed to blood. Only the one who cast it can release it. Or you would need the binding seal itself. A seal. An object. Kerensa remembered a small box her father kept in his study. Carved wood. Locked with magic. I know where it is, she said. What happened to Seraphine? Kerensa asked suddenly. The woman who was his companion before me? Morwen's expression softened. She discovered the truth about the curse, that loving him would kill him. She left in the night, unable to bear the thought of causing his death. The witch paused. She wrote to me, years later. She is alive, living in the southern territories. She never stopped caring for him, but she believed leaving was the only way to save him. Kerensa's chest tightened. Seraphine had loved Vasek enough to walk away, but walking away had not broken the curse. I will not run, Kerensa said. I will find another way. She turned toward the door. Where are you going? Morwen asked. To get what belongs to me. The ride to Ashmore took 2 days. Kerensa pushed her horse to its limits. Every moment that passed, Vasek slipped further away. She could feel him fading through the bond between them. She would not let him die. Linnet was waiting at the gates. Father knows you are coming. He has refused to see you. He does not have a choice. Kerensa, wait. There is something you should know. Linnet's face was haunted. I searched Father's study, found letters going back decades. Our grandmother, Father's mother, she was not what we were told. What do you mean? She was a witch. A powerful one. She served the royal family for years, maintaining the ice curse on the Valdros bloodline. The words did not make sense. The curse requires maintenance, Linnet continued. Every generation, a witch from our family has reinforced it. Grandmother did it. And when she died, Father was supposed to continue. But he has no magic. Linnet's voice broke. When you manifested as a shadow wolf, he realized something terrible. What? Shadow magic can destroy the curse entirely. You are the natural counter to everything our family has maintained for centuries. He bound you because you were a threat. The truth crashed over Kerensa. Her father had not bound her out of hatred. He had bound her out of fear. Fear that she would break the curse his family had spent centuries maintaining. Our mother, Kerensa whispered. Did she know? Linnet nodded. She found out. That is why Father had her banished. She wanted to unbind you. She believed you were meant for something greater. Kerensa thought of her mother, dying alone in some distant territory. She had always believed her mother abandoned her. but her mother had tried to save her. A change rippled through Carenza. The binding marks burned with suppressed fury. Where is he? In his study. But he has guards. Guards will not stop me. She walked toward the manor house. The front doors opened, guards stepping out with weapons drawn. Step aside. The shadows moved. They rose from the ground, from the walls, wrapping around the guards like living things, holding them immobile. Carenza walked past and into her childhood home. Her father waited in his study, the carved box in front of him. "You cannot have it," Aldrich said. "I will not let you destroy everything our family has built. Your family built suffering. Your family built a curse that has killed innocent people for generations. The royal family deserves this curse. They murdered our ancestors. The curse is justice. The curse is murder, and it ends tonight." Aldrich grabbed the box. "I will destroy it before I let you have it. Then burn it." Carenza smiled coldly. "Morwen told me what happens when a binding seal is destroyed without proper release. The magic rebounds. It returns to the caster, magnified 1,000-fold. Aldrich's face went white. "You bound me with your own blood. If you destroy that seal, every ounce of shadow magic will pour directly into you." His hand shook. "Give it to me," Carenza said quietly. "Give it to me, and I will leave. I will save the king, and you will live with the knowledge that everything you sacrificed was for nothing." For a long moment, neither moved. Then Aldrich's shoulders slumped. He set the box on the desk. Carenza picked it up. This small object had imprisoned her for 12 years. She opened it. Inside was a shard of black crystal, pulsing with shadow light. She closed her fingers around it and squeezed. The crystal shattered. Power exploded through her like a dam breaking. Shadows erupted from her skin, her eyes. For one terrifying moment, she was nothing but darkness. Then the wolf rose. It unfurled inside her, vast and ancient and utterly free. Beautiful. Furious. The shadows answered its call, swirling around her like a living storm. She could feel Vasek hundreds of miles away, his heartbeat slowing. "Not yet," she thought. "I am coming." She turned to her father, cowering against the wall. "Guards will arrest you for conspiracy, for what you did to your wife, for treason against the Alpha King. Linnet will testify. You spent my entire life telling me I was a monster." Carenza let the shadows recede. "You were right. I am a monster who saves people, and you are just a coward who destroys them." She left him there and walked into the night. Carenza ran, not on horseback, not in human form. She ran as a wolf, as a shadow, as something between. The darkness carried her across impossible distances. She burst into Vasek's chambers. Morwen looked up. "You did it. Will it work? No one has ever tried this before." Carenza looked at Vasek. The frost had consumed him almost entirely. "I love you," she whispered, "and I am not going to let that love kill you." She placed her hands on his chest and let the shadows free. They poured out of her, dark and endless. They washed over the frost, consuming it, unmaking it. The ice fought back, but the shadows were stronger. Carenza pushed deeper, following the curse to its source. She found it wrapped around his heart, a knot of frozen malice. She tore it apart. The curse screamed as it died. Her wolf rose to meet it, jaws closing around the dying magic. And then it was gone. The shadows retreated. The frost melted. Color flooded back into Vasek's skin. His eyes opened. Silver met brown. "Carenza," he breathed. She collapsed against his chest, sobbing. His arms came around her. Warm. Finally warm. "You are alive," she managed. "Because of you." His voice was rough. "How?" "I am a shadow wolf. That is what I was hiding. Shadow magic is the only thing that can destroy ice magic." He stared at her. Then his hand cupped her face, brushing away her tears. "My shadow wolf," he said softly. "My brave, impossible, beautiful shadow wolf." And then he kissed her. This kiss was different. No ice beneath it, no curse lurking. Only warmth, only love. The curse, Carenza said suddenly. It was passed through bloodlines. Does this mean our children will be free? The curse is broken entirely. 6 months later, the throne room was filled with more people than Carenza had ever seen. Nobles, dignitaries, common folk who had traveled days to witness this moment, the coronation of the new queen. Carenza knelt, her heart pounding. She wore a gown of midnight blue embroidered with silver shadows. The crown that settled onto her head was delicate but strong. Vasek took her hand and helped her rise. "My people," he announced, "I present to you Carenza, Queen of Valdros, Shadow Wolf, Cursebreaker, the woman who saved not just your king, but every king who will ever sit upon this throne." The crowd erupted in cheers. Carenza saw Linnet in the front row, beaming. Saw Morwen near the back, smiling. Her father sat in a prison cell, awaiting trial. His lands seized, his titles stripped. Justice had come. After the ceremony, they retreated to the gardens. "How does it feel?" Vasek asked, pulling her close. "Being queen? Terrifying, but also right." He pressed a kiss to her temple. "From the moment you blew that ridiculous kiss across my ballroom, I knew you would change everything." She laughed. "I still cannot believe you caught it." Vasek reached into his pocket and withdrew something small. He uncurled his fingers, revealing an empty palm, just as he had done the night they met. "I believe I still have something that belongs to you," he said softly. Carenza laughed, remembering the dare, the blown kiss, the moment everything began. She leaned forward and pressed her lips to his palm. "Finally," Vasek murmured against her hair. "You came and got it back." They stood together watching the sun set over snow-covered roses that had just begun to thaw. Spring was coming. "I have something to tell you," Carenza said quietly. "Should I be worried?" "I do not think so." She took his hand and pressed it against her stomach. "I am pregnant." The emotions crossing his face were almost too fast to track. Shock, wonder, joy, and overwhelming love. "A child," he breathed. "Our child. A child who will never know the curse, who will grow up warm and loved and free." Vasek dropped to his knees, pressing his forehead against her stomach. When he looked up, there were tears in his silver eyes. "You have given me everything. Warmth, love, a future, a family." He kissed her belly. "How can I ever repay you?" Carenza smiled, running her fingers through his dark hair. "Love me. Love our children. Love our kingdom. That is all I have ever wanted." He rose and pulled her into his arms. "Forever," he promised. And for the first time in her life, Carenza believed in forever. They had both entered this arrangement seeking escape. She had been running from her father's cruelty, from the binding that imprisoned her wolf. He had been running from the curse that made love impossible. Neither had expected to find each other, but love had found them anyway, in a caught kiss across a crowded ballroom, in shadows that consumed curses, in the warmth that melted ice. They had saved each other, and in saving each other, they had freed an entire kingdom.